So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back once again to the greatest watch market update show. As you know, this is a real public service watch announcement channel. We try to bring you here only the best. Saludos to you, Nick. We try to bring you the best, always the truth, and whatever we hear, we try to transmit it back to you guys because we're like that. We're stupid like that. Before I get into the show, saludos, Dr. E. Saludos to you. Before I get into the show, I'm going to ask all of you to please don't wait for us to, come up. Shoot us already the thumbs up. You know what we're going to give you is cream. La crema, papa. We're going to give you cream, whipped cream. Whipped cream? We're going to give you la crema, the cream. So don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. And don't forget to ring the bell, shake the bell, subscribe to the channel, let your friends know, your co-workers, your friends out there in the racquetball courts, or that racket, that tennis game they play now today, ping pong. It's like a ping pong tennis game. I forgot the name of it, but my son plays it, my daughter plays it. It's unbelievable, that game, But I'm just letting you know that we're going to have an unbelievable watch market update show for all of you today. Pickleball. Thank you very much, Robert. Pickleball. Exactly. They're trying for me to get into that too, but I play tennis. I'm like Eli Nastasi, like Nastasi and Jimmy Connors, beyond board, but times have changed. So don't forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off by telling you quickly that precious metals, are not going anywhere. They're just there, powerful, very, very strong and powerful. So el macho, And I want to start by saying rhodium is at $7,125 a troy ounce. Palladium is at $1,303 a troy ounce. That's right. Thank you, Pete. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you, I'm even gonna keep this one for last. Silver, the poor man's, precious metal, the poor man's me. I'm the poor man here, $47 a troy ounce. That's right. And gold, ladies and gentlemen, gold, pure gold, pure gold at $3,762. Don't let that confuse you. This thing is going to the moon. This thing is going to the moon, ladies and gentlemen. No sean lambones y palomos. This is going all the way up. All the way up. Like the song, all the way up. They're not like us. They're not like us, all the way up. But ladies and gentlemen, I got something to tell you, Thurston Howard III. I got something to tell you. Crazy times, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm coming in blazing. When I say this coming in blazing, I'm coming in blazing. If you pay attention, you'll learn. And you'll catch a lot of things because today I'm coming in blazing, You know what I'm talking about, Dr. D. Excuse me, Mr. D. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, Robert Taylor. You know what I'm talking about. And ladies and gentlemen, please do not get confused because this metal right here is another monster. We're talking about platinum. Platinum. Platinum es una jodienda. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to round it off to blow your hair back and knock your socks off. Platinum is at $1,600 a troy ounce. Just to let you know what's going on, Papi. The world is upside down. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them fool you. This is a public service watch announcement channel, but we touch every subject there is out there, from politics to jewelry, to crooks, to lambones, palomos, crumb bums, sandbags, window lickers, cow tippers, possum kickers. We touch them all, We touch them all, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, today I'm coming in blazing. And ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the show right now to tell you something that's, it's unbelievable. When you put these people together, when you put people together, these people do crazy things. They do crazy things. And when no hay chavo, when there's no more money, to do the oil change on your Ferrari, and it costs you $5,000, and there's no more money come in because, you know, you can fool some people sometimes, but you cannot fool all the people all the time, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely, Dr. E. Silver, the poor man's medal is going all the way up, all the way up. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this. I don't know if you know about this metaphor, you know, metaphor. You know, I know how to say that word, metaphor, you know. If you take red ants, I repeat, if you take red ants and you take black ants and you put them inside a glass cup, you know, and they're looking at each other, you know, the fire ant, you know, the red ant and the black ant. You put them there together, those ants, you know, and they're just looking at each other, you know, or they do to you the fentanyl, you know, statue. You know, they don't even move, you know. You know what I'm trying to say, the ants, you know, the red ant and the black ant, and they're just staring at each other, you know. They're staring at each other, you know, no messing around. You know, they just look at each other, you know, like Mr. D told me, like statues, like frozen, you know. But ladies and gentlemen, if you take all these Muppet boiler room secondary grade watch market channels and dealers who have been flim-flamming you and fleecing you for so many years until sweet Kid Kino came along. Kino's here today. He's quiet, but he's here today. And everything that I'm reading is only written by no other than sweet Kid Kino to me, Joaquin to you. I'm on fire today, ladies and gentlemen. I am on fire today, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, you take all those Muppet boiler room backpackers, Supreme, red backpackers, Louis Vuitton backpackers, and you put them inside a cup of glass like the ants, and they look at each other, you know, from side to side. They don't, nothing is going on, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing is going on, ladies and gentlemen. But if you do just this to them, to the cup, if you shake it, they go crazy fighting, you know, they go crazy fighting. And right now, ladies and gentlemen, you have two Muppet boiler room secondary grade watch market dealers, channels, backpackers, they're going at it. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this, but I'm telling you, cuando no hay chavo, cuando no hay shekels, you know, no shekels, no euros, you know, no chavo, no plata, people go crazy because they cannot continue maintaining their lifestyle, ladies and gentlemen. And you have two gentlemen, and these two gentlemen gave you this all day long while I was defending you. Excuse me, while Sweet Kid Kino was defending you. You know, we were fighting for you guys. Only you guys didn't realize it because you guys kept on giving them your children's tuition money, your 401k, your wife's 401k, your children's dental money, insurance. You gave it all away to them. And after that, you gave them super chats, Snapchats. You gave them everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is sad, but it's the truth. No hay más dinero, tan jodido, papi. And we're talking about two gentlemen that will make fun the whole day of the watch brand Hublot. You know, hear me out. I'm getting somewhere. I'm getting somewhere. Follow me. I'm getting somewhere. These two gentlemen will rip like hyenas. You know, they will rip Hublot. You know, they will rip it. You know, one was called the Walrus Fat Bastard, and the other one was called Deputy Droopy Butthole Eyes. You know, boxing black eyes. And these two cats were ripping up Hublot all day long to get into your pockets. And they were telling you the Hublot was a piece of junk here, a piece of junk there. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm telling you, you know, Deputy Boxing Black Eyes and the Walrus Fat Bastard are going at it, ladies and gentlemen. You don't understand this. They're going at it, ladies and gentlemen. And this is tremendous. You know, tremendous what's going on. The Walrus Fat Bastard and Deputy Boxing Black Eyes are going at it because the Boxing Black Eyes is right now defending the watch that he used to laugh about, Hublot. And the Walrus Fat Bastard is going at it too. And they're talking back and forth and they're saying things to each other. You know, when he's telling him, you sell yourself out to any watch brand. You know, the Warriors fat bastards telling him that. Thank you very much for that super chat. Thirst. Who's that? That's Dr. Evil. Thank you very much for that super chat. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. It means a whole lot to Sweet Kick Kino and me. You know, we get happy. We get really happy that the channel, you know what I'm trying to say. But ladies and gentlemen, one more time, thank you very much, Dr. E, for that super chat. Let me get back into character. And it's unbelievable what's going on between these two cats. You know, these are two cats. You know, Deputy Boxing Black Eyes is now talking good about Hubler, you know, and talking about Hubler. And like I'm telling you, when you put the ants together inside a glass cup, they just look at each other. And when you shake it, they go crazy and they go at it. And ladies and gentlemen, we put these two monkeys, these two cockroaches, we put them inside a glass cup and they're going at it. They're going at it. Now they have become enemies. And we're gonna do a promotion on these two cats. On Deputy Boxing Black Eyes and the Warriors Fat Bastard. You're not gonna believe what the Warriors Fat Bastard said after he spoke very bad about Boxing Black Eyes and he spoke very bad about Hubler. You know, he says in his channel, ladies and gentlemen, and I quote, no así papi, perfecto, just like that he says, and I quote, what he says is this, he says, you know, the Warriors Fat Bastard tells, you know, Deputy Boxing Black Eyes, you know, now you're supporting Hubler, you support any watch brand. And when they give you money, you know, dinero, when they give you checos, euros, dinero, pasta, chavo, you know, increíble, son como las prostitutas, they're like prostitutes, you know, like prostitutes, se venden, papi, se venden y se dan duro, you know, you sell your soul, you know, you don't care, you know, you were talking bad about it, but they pay you, you know, room and board, a hotel, dinner, you know, a little jacket for you, and you go now and you start saying good things about, you know, Hubler. And guess what the Warriors Fat Bastard has said? He said that Hubler called him up, and he said that if Hubler will make him an offer higher than the offer they made to Deputy Boxing Black Eyes, he'll go to Hubler also to do a promotion. Son prostitutas, papi, son prostitutas que no tienen más chavo. No more money, papi, no money, no honey, le dan por las nalgas. Esto está jodido, muchacho, and I'm here. I'm here because Sweet Kid Kino told me you needed to do this. You need to do this to keep on showing these people the way they're living, to keep on carrying their businesses, you know? Now they're becoming spokespersons, you know? I think that's the word, spokesperson. Let me get a little bit of jungle juice. I'm getting too agitated, you know? And I don't want to get agitated, ladies and gentlemen, but I got to tell you what's going on. Because I do this for free, you know? For free, only for free. And ladies and gentlemen, it's nasty. You gotta see the way the Warriors Fat Bastard. These people were pals. You know, these people would eat $17,000 steak dinners together, sushi. You know, they had the Supreme, you know, backpack, Supreme sweater, you know, Montclair hoodie, Louis Vuitton Nike sneakers, you know, matching with the Ferrari cars. Están jodidos, papi, no hay más chavo, está jodido, papá. La situación está jodida, muchacho, está jodida. So just to let you know, they're flipping like the ants, you know, like the red ant and the black ant, you know. Papi, esa gente están jodidos. Those people are not doing well. They're like, you know, those people from over there from Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. You know, those people, they lost their jobs, lost their houses, lost their cars. But somehow, some way, they're getting that fentanyl. You know, fentanyl. I don't know. I don't know if you know about this, ladies and gentlemen, but these people could stay like this for 3 hours. I don't know what that thing does to them, but I'm telling you, or they stay like this. You know what I'm saying? And this is the way the Warriors Fat Bastard is, and this is the way Deputy Boxing Black Eyes is doing. You know, they're out there sponsoring whoever. Son como prostitutas, como las prostitutas baratas. You know, these people are whores. You know what a whore is? These people are whores. They'll sell their mother's soul for some chelos. I'm talking to you, I'm blazing today, ladies and gentlemen. Hoy yo no perdono a nadie. You know, hoy yo no perdono a nadie, papi. Kino, no te metas. No te metas. Si no vas a hablar bien, no te metas. No te metas. I'm letting you know what's going on. I'm letting you know what's going on so you are aware, because this is the #1 watch market update show in the world, chosen by no other than Fudinki. By Fudinki. We don't even need Fudinki no more. We're self-proclaimed. We say already, we already made a deal, me and Sweet Kid Kino, that we're going to say we're self-proclaimed the best watch market update show in the world. You know, I'm telling you, a public service watch announcement. And ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you something else, ladies and gentlemen, because, you know, you guys are people that I care for. You know, I really care for. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see something else, the way that lady, you know, Elizabeth Warren, you know, the letter that she wrote, you know, that she wrote to the king, you know, to the king of watches. You got to see the letter that she wrote to these people over there at Rolex. It's an unbelievable letter. I still can't believe that the way she wrote that letter and what she told those people over there at Rolex, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to see that letter, ladies and gentlemen, you go to my YouTube channel, you know, to the front of my YouTube, and you look down where it says post, and you have there the letter. But I'm going to show you, here's the letter, ladies and gentlemen. Esta gonorrhea, she wrote a 4 pages, you know, to Rolex SA, like I call it, Rolex SA, you know, 4 pages. Look at that, you know, with multiple choice. These people from the government are unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Look at that, what she wrote down. Look at that. You see her name? Right there. You go to down there to my channel, and you go to my post, and you're going to find there the letter, ladies and gentlemen. This is incredible, the letter that this lady tuvo las pelotas de escribirle. You know, she had the balls to write to Rolex SA and to tell you. This is unbelievable. I'm telling you, Mr. D, what I give you guys for free, this is unbelievable. Nobody will do what I do. And I do this. And when I say that I'm stupid like that, I gotta be honest. The one that's stupid like that is no other than Sweet Kid Kino. He's the stupid one, ladies and gentlemen. He is the stupid one. It's not me. I just, you know, am the voice. You know, I am the voice only. Sweet Kid Kino is the brains. And ladies and gentlemen, if you go there, and the reason that I have that I put it there is because I can't show it to you. I can't talk about it because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna get a tremendous power outage. You know, a tremendous power outage, and my TV antenna is gonna blow up, and everything is gonna go haywire. And this is the reason I'm taking precautions and the way I'm handling things, you know. And this is why I'm doing it. You know, I'm doing it this way to protect you people and protect myself, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm coming in blazing, ladies and gentlemen. I know what I'm telling you. So if you want to take a look at what this lady has wrote, what she wrote down, I mean, you're not gonna believe this, ladies and gentlemen. You're not gonna believe what she wrote. They even put multiple choice. You know, I'm telling you, multiple choice. These people, and I gotta tell you something, because you know me, that I'm very straightforward on my beliefs. That doesn't mean it's like that. Everything that I'm saying, they show me to say the word allegedly, and I'll keep on using the word allegedly. But ladies and gentlemen, I gotta tell you something. I really do. These people, I told you that Rolex never answered nobody's question when they were going through the changing over there on the other side, you know, changing, when they were making rotors, screws, you know, bracelets, casings. They didn't answer to nobody. But for some reason, when the government, you know, just, let me tell you something, because, you know, where respect is respect, you got to give it to, you know. This person is a senator. Esto es un senador. You know, this is a senator, papi. You know the pool? You know the pool that Moshugana has? The pool she has? Papi, eso es Satanás. Satanás, when you have that kind of pool, you're a monster. Tú eres un león tusado. Eres un león afeitado. You know what I said? It's a lion, you know, a lion skinned up, you know, without no hair. You know what it is, a lion without no hair? That's what she is, a lion without no hair. And she's telling those people within Rolex essay how she feels. And if they're doing corruption together, you know, him and the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, you know, because she was sitting over there in the box seats over there, the tennis match. You know, she rules life. You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say, Mr. D. Please help me out. Feel free to write whatever you want because I got problems with the TV antenna. You know what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen. Don't throw one shot and that's it because the only channel dropping this knowledge for free, is no other than Sweet Kid Kino, papi, papa. You know, unbelievable, this Sweet Kid Kino. He is the brains, I am the voice. And this lady, le estaba echando guapería. She was like, you know, she was really trying these people, you know. You know what I'm trying to say. She was really trying these people, you know. And why you're doing this is corruption, and corruption this, corruption that. Are you going to get a free tariff? And blah, 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 blah. You know, and those people were there from Rolex SA. Let me tell you something. You know, they ain't no sandbags. These people from Rolex, they got the best writers over there, you know. They got monster writers. You know, if you read the letter, you're going to see the way she writes to them. It's an unbelievable letter. You know, when you receive that type of letter, you know, it's like the Wicked Witch of the North, you know, the Wicked Witch. You know, you have the Wicked Witch from the North and the one from the South. You know, the North is, you know, she'll give it to you, you know. And they receive the letter. And then the people, you know, from over there, from the king, you know, they say, hey, call the people up here. Send me 10 of them up here. And they say, we're going to write her a letter back. And they write the letter to her back again, and their letter was unbelievable. Hers was 4 pages. Theirs was 2, to the point, you know. But again, ladies and gentlemen, they know the game. These people know the game, papi. Rolex is the only watch brand that's involved in that round table of politics throughout the world. I repeat, throughout the world. Not the United States of America. No. These people send people to correct you. You saw what happened to John F. Kennedy. You know, he went in there and, you know, mistakes this, mistake that. And he started wolfing his mouth about, you know, secret, you know, society and all that good stuff that was, you know, finishing with the world. But the last one to President the United States of America, his name was Dwight Eisenhower, General Eisenhower. And he spoke about the military complex industrial, and he spoke about the, you know, the ICA, you know, put it together, the ICA, and he kitsch. And, you know, they didn't tell the young fella, don't talk about no more about this stuff because, you know, Dr. D said something yesterday. Mr. D said something yesterday. The owl didn't want to be corrected. And they say no. And this is how it is, you know. You can't play with those people. We might laugh at Pocahontas, pero papi, Senator, you know, you're this close to becoming a president. You're this close. You know, you're like an infection. You're right here already. You're right there, you know. So be very careful, you know. I just want to say that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump into another subject because I'm coming in blazing today, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to know something. You know, I've been talking to you about gold for some time. And I've been telling you there's something else that's happening around the world. You know, the world is not correct. You know, the world's not correct. Too many things are happening. People are saying that be careful if you drink this medicine. This medicine might cause you to get ill and get some type of, illness or cancer. And people are writing back with bulletin boards. That's a racism to say that. That's racism. Racism. I don't know that word too well. Please help me out. And racism this and racism that, because somebody is saying that don't take this medicine because you're going to get sick. They're replying back because the world's upside down. El mundo está perdido, papi. The world's upside down. They're telling you don't take this, and you're saying that is racist. What you're saying about cancer, that is racist. I'm trying to understand this stuff, but people are going bananas, ladies and gentlemen. La gente está loca. La gente está loca. And I want to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to know something. They got over there somewhere, in the Caribbean Sea, near Venezuela, in the Caribbean Sea near Venezuela, they got a bunch of things back there, they have a bunch of ships, looking at Venezuela. And if you guys don't know this, I'm going to tell you because I'm stupid like that, I'm stupid like that. I'm going to tell you this. When you put those ships, and they're standing like the fentanyl, like this, for hours and days and weeks, it costs the United States of America $8 million a day just to have the boats looking at Venezuela. Looking at Venezuela, and all the admirals and the generals and the patents, like the Dwight Eisenhower, they're all there. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what I'm trying to say? 8 million a day. And this started in very, very early, or let's say mid-August. Mid-August, ladies and gentlemen, unos aparatos. The names that these things have, it's unbelievable, and we are already at the end of September. We are at the end of September. Something big, I've been telling you, is going to happen in the world. When that guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he called everybody in, the admiral, somebody told me that the admiral, he's from the Navy. The admiral is from the Navy, and the general is, I don't know what they do, but they're the same thing. General and admiral, they explained that to me in this channel, and I repeat what I learned, I didn't even Google it. I'm just going to go with what they tell me. But the admiral and the general is the same thing, with different names, but they're the same thing. And they called them over there in Pennsylvania Avenue, and they sat down on the round table, and and they put allegedly all the cards in the table. All the cards on the table. I'm telling you, Papi, Knights Templar, Knights Templar. Papi, esa gente se juntan ahí, eso es el diablo, And let me tell you, this is going to be, it's escalating to something bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're talking about that it's because of narcotics, narcótico, narcótico, la droga, la manteca, el perico, el yello, ¿entiendes? La manteca, cocaína, cocaine, You know what I'm trying to say? Esto es una jodienda. You know what I'm trying to say, DJ. They got together and they told them over there. But ladies and gentlemen, you got that gentleman. That we have a gentleman inside Pennsylvania Avenue. I don't know if you know this. He is the Secretary of the State. And his name is Marco Rubio. Una jodienda, allegedly. Todos allegedly. Everything is allegedly. Allegedly. We have a gentleman, Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio es una jodienda, Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is saying that he wants to, he wants to knock down with a stone 4 different countries. And you know what are the 4 countries, ladies and gentlemen, that they want to knock off? If you don't know this, you're gonna know it today because I'm stupid like that. The 4 countries that Marco Rubio wants to knock out, knock off with one stone is no other than 1, Venezuela, 2, Cuba, 3, Nicaragua, and 4, Colombia, for that guy woofing his mouth over there, in the square in New York City. Don't listen to that crazy guy from Pennsylvania Avenue. He's the 4th one. So you got it now. Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, y Candela con Colombia. Deep. And his name is, allegedly, his name is Marco Rubio. He's next to, for some reason, he's always hanging around with the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue. He sits next to him like a little lapdog, unbelievable, So this is going on, I'm telling you what's going on. But ladies and gentlemen, you know what this is all about, Papi. You know little Marco, Mr. D. He ain't so little no more, and he ain't thirsty no more for water. I said, yo, unbelievable what I do with these boys. Marco has big hands, bro. I'm telling you, Marquito. And Marquito wants to knock off with one stone 4 countries, lady. Marco is telling you, bro. 4. I said, coño, Marco, loosen up. Afloja. Marco, afloja. But Marco's not playing around, ladies and gentlemen, and there was a deployment of 3 Angus, guided missile, destroyers, unbelievable. I like that, missile destroyers, así parado, looking at Venezuela, like the fentanyl. Just looking at them, looking at them there. These are unbelievable. Esto es increíble, when I see this, and the names of the boats, I like the names of the ships. One is called the USS Gravely, the USS Jason Duham, and the USS Samson. Unbelievable, those names, Unbelievable, those names, I can't believe it. That was very early when it all started. They send those ships out, destroyers with missiles. I'm like thinking that, what they have over there, in the Caribbean next to Venezuela, how long would it take those people to finish, that assignment? I call it an assignment. How long would it take, And it was followed by more ships, in the days, more ships. But ladies and gentlemen, late August, these people, went, they went nuts, they started sending some other, ships over there, and including the amphibious assault ships, USS Iwo Jima. Unbelievable, Iwo Jima, bro. When they say the word Iwo Jima, that sounds like flying tigers, powerful stuff, Iwo Jima. I don't know if I'm getting excited. Please let me know if I'm getting too excited for you guys, but it's unbelievable when you hear the word Iwo Jima. The USS San Antonio. The USS San Antonio, papá. Boom, para allá, para afuera. It's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. And this is unbelievable. And my favorite one out of these destroyers, they're over there, 8 of them. The USS Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale. But check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Esto es el diablo, papi. Esto es el diablo. This is the only channel that brings this kind of content. These people just dumb down on you people. Those watch channels, they're just dumbing down on you people. I don't want to see dummies in my channel. I want to see people brillante. Gente que brillen. Que sepan lo que están hablando. Estos gilipollas que están hablando. Esto es lo que te están hablando. This is what they're talking to you about. This. To get your wife's 401k. And ladies and gentlemen, they got a nuclear. Listen to this, papi. This is, I don't see no No way they can get out of this, man. A nuclear submarine. You know, the peekaboo. Can you imagine that? A nuclear submarine just looking, just looking around. But it costs $8 million a day. This is Battleship. Remember when we were kids, we used to play Battleship, I was always a loser. They would always bomb me, I would always lose. But remember that? The Battleship, it's unbelievable, ladies. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Papa. Thank you very much. And I'm in shock when they are saying that, I think about all this, what they're doing, and they call the admirals and the generals in to talk about this. My question to all of you, because you people out there are very, very smart. How long would it take the Americans with those, 8, destroyers, 8 destroyers? The carrier has not come in yet, Papi. When that carrier comes in the back, when that carrier comes in the back, y le tira los F-22, F-22 Raptors, those Raptors, you can't chase them, unbelievable, in the back. And then the submarine, how long would it take the Americans to knock off Maduro out of there? How long? How long? One day. You think one day? For real, one day? I was thinking, to be honest, me and Kino were talking, and I got to come straight with you guys. We don't know too much about war. But we were thinking about something like minutes. We were thinking about something like minutes. Bam! But please don't get confused. I'm talking about this because I'm heading into gold. I'm heading into gold. And right now, Dr. Evo said 48 hours. I said minutes. Papi, que te tiren del aire. Boom, 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 boom. Que te tiren de submarino, submariner, like a submariner, a submariner, submariner, and the destroyers. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to make it for you so you can see the whole movie, like the movie Midway, like that movie that people went to Japan and they got us over there when we were sleeping in the boats, in the hammocks. Over there. What was the name of that movie? I forgot the name of that movie, but you know what I'm trying to say. I think it will be quick. I think it will be very, very quick. Porque el dólar, because the dollar's in the floor. The dollar today buys you 2 cents. And gold is just keep on Torah, Midway, Torah. Remember that place with the Japanese were doing the kamikaze, how you call that? There was a movie with that one, the kamikazes, and you know what I'm trying to say, the kamikazes, and they got us all sleeping, they were sleeping over there in Pearl Harbor. I think Pearl Harbor, that's the name of the movie, Pearl Harbor. So, I think it's going to be quick, and I honestly believe that Marco Rubio has, been giving him the parrot and the guy in Pennsylvania Avenue, in his ear. If we're going to do this, Mr. Presidente, if we're going to do this, I think we have to knock off, 4 with 1 stone. So honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's, wow, 400 for a cart of groceries. La situación está jodida, muchachos. No hay chavo, there's no money, there's no lana, there's no chelito, there's no cuartos. No hay plata, no shekels, no euros, no money, papi. No, you can't no more. And they told them that, we should just knock off 4 in 1 shot. And if you were not here, the 4 in 1 shot is Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, Colombia. And Colombia got involved because that big mouth guy, I told you about talking in the street. Remember I told you about that? You can't be talking in the street. Because if they don't listen to you, there's no problems. But when they start listening to you, you got a problem. And I believe that the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he took away something, a Visa credit card from the guy from Colombia. You cannot come around here no more. Yeah, no more. Because she was wolfing his mouth. Don't listen to that cockroach. Don't listen to the cockroach. Whatever the cockroach says, don't listen to him. Am I saying it right or wrong, guys? Am I saying it right or am I saying it wrong? Just give me a no. Give me a yes. I don't care. You know? No shekels. You know? And the guy told him, don't listen to that cockroach over there, you know, from Pennsylvania Avenue. Don't listen to him. Don't obey him. You know he's been corrected. Bravo D. Bravo D. He's been corrected. Papi, they correct you. Like what happened to Chappelle Dave. He was corrected. You know, he was corrected when he saw that the guy, you know, Chappelle David, when he saw the guy that he took off his glasses and he took off his hat and what he was looking at was Michael Jackson, he was corrected. You know what I'm saying? Papi, you don't want to play with those people. You don't want to play. So you have Elizabeth Warren, you know, doing her song and dance with Rolex, and Rolex doing their song and dance with her, you know, with the senator. That's power. You don't play with that. Those people will correct you. But I believe, you know, J.P. Morgan or the Rothschilds or Rockefeller, you know, BlackRock, Blackstone, Vanguard, State Street, they made their phone call. Baja, papi, baja, baja, baja ya, baja, you know. Papi, esto está jodido, el mundo está virado al revés, and there's no money out there. There's no money out there. And ladies and gentlemen, gold is going to the moon. When I told you this today, you're going to go, oh my God. Yes, I told you that I believe the gold will go up to $5,000 a troy ounce. I told you that. I told you that. And many of you told me, many of you corrected me. Even me, I get corrected. And Sweet Kikino, we get corrected. You guys say that it's going to go all the way to $20,000 an ounce. But I stay with my $5,000 an ounce, right? But ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you something. And please write this down so you know where we're heading to. So you know where we're heading to. I said $5,000. And another Meshuggah said it too. Another Meshuggah said it too, you know? Another Meshuggah said, you know, 5,000. He copied what I said. I said it first in him. But ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know this name, listen and learn. If you don't know this name, my God, man, 32 organic watch channel subscribers and 29 thumbs up. That's amazing. This channel is a public service watch announcement channel. Number one, papi. 5,000 for sure, right? We know that. 5,000 for sure. Right. But ladies and gentlemen, I got some news today that's gonna, I'm telling you, when Sweet Kid Kino sits down, Kino's a maniac. Él es maniático. Kino's a maniac. You know, es maniático. No, Kino, yo no dije nada malo. I didn't say nothing bad, Kino. Yo dije que tú eres una persona brillante. Kino's brilliant. And Kino started doing the research. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the name. Here's the name. Mr. Blair. You know, Mr. Blair, Dr. E, DJ, Pete, you know all of you people, Dr. Evil, Mr. Donut, all of you out there, all of you. I forget all your names, you know? Thurston Howard III, Alex, you know? Here goes the name. Does anybody know the name Christopher Wood? Christopher Wood. Christopher Wood is a global head of equity strategy. Jeffries allocates 40% in bullion in global portfolio as part of his strategy. Wood, Christopher Wood. No sean lambones. This is for free. This is for free what I'm telling you. Christopher Wood. Gold prices, I repeat, gold prices. Yo soy una jodienda. Kino, Kino, the studies that Kino does. Kino, the studies that he does are unbelievable, papi. I'm going to tell all of you before I tell you the numbers. Start looking at silver. At silver. I'm not even going to go deeper. Just start looking at silver. It's the poor man's special metal. Pero papi, you know? So does anybody know who Christopher Wood is? I want to know. Does anybody know who Christopher Wood is? Because Kino was telling me, and I was getting dizzy when I was doing a barbecue out there, and he was telling me all these things because Kino's a maniac. You know, Kino's a maniac. Maniatico. He's a maniac. You know, he's a maniac. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this, ladies and gentlemen. Gold prices by Mr. Wood. He sees gold prices. This is why I had to give you this whole scenario of Marco Rubio, Pennsylvania Avenue, you know, Pocahontas, Battleship. So you know, papi, esto está loco. They have to control this already. It's getting out of their hands. You know, ¿tú entiendes? El peso, the dollar to the floor, y el oro para allá arriba. Y el mate, the master, because I got to call him the master. Kino told me to call him the master from right now. Call him the master, you know? And let me explain to you something, Bobby, because this is Kino knows too much, you know? And Kino, you know, I told you, let me drink a little jungle juice, some water, you know, because and ladies and gentlemen, when I show you this, don't get scared. There he is. That's the guy. Read it and weep. Read it and weep. Read it and weep. Read it and weep, ladies and gentlemen. Read it and weep. This guy right here. This guy. You know? That guy right there. That guy hangs out. You know? And here it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely, Thurston Howard III. Papi, what I'm dropping today to you guys, I could save this, you know, for other days to make shows. I don't want to, man. You need to know this already. You need to go to bed tonight and say, man, that mother frogger Juan Nieves, man, he's the shit, man. We don't hold nothing back here, you know. We don't. I say, Kino, no, Kino. Why are we gonna to make a show on Monday or Tuesday? Give it to them already. Let them go to sleep, relax. You know, let them go. You know. And ladies and gentlemen, this Mr. Wood, Mr. Wood, he sees gold prices rising. Se me terminó el jungle juice. My jungle juice is over, man. He sees gold prices rising. You ready? To a 76%. 76%. 76. And here goes the number that he says. You must have seen it in the picture, but I'm going to give it to you again. $6,600. No more apple juice for me. $6,600 a troy ounce. Ese, he hangs out in the round table, saluting the owl. And this is why they are getting all those admirals and generals, because this is getting out of hand. I mean, you can't go to the grocery stores. You go to the grocery stores with a Franklin, with a brand new Franklin $100 bill, and you buy. If you buy something in a Publix, you know, Publix is one of the upper, you know, mid-upper scale supermarkets. $100, you buy 20 things. Costco, you buy 3 things. Costco, 3 things, you know? You know what I'm, Publix, exactly, Publix, right? $100 Publix, you get, 18, 20 things. You gotta start looking at these, lower, canned goods, I'm telling you, papi, la gente tan jodida. And I told you all this, and you say, well, why is he saying all this? Well, how can you guys still think that the watch market is up and running? When I just finished telling you that Deputy Boxing Black Eyes is sponsoring different people. They're paying him room and board to go over there and say that my Purnell watch is the best, that my De Bethune watch is the best, that this watch is the best. Papi, no hay dinero, papi. No hay dinero. 2 hoagie sandwiches, $100. You know it, 13 with the third. You know it. And I'm here for free. For free. And what do I get? No respect. I'm like the Rodney Dangerfield of the watch industry. No respect to me, And I give you all this for free. You know what I'm trying to say. And he's over there. And now both of them are fighting. The war is fat bastard and the Deputy Boxing Black Eyes talking about that Hublot is a good watch. I have always told you that Hublot is a good watch, but they don't got no more shekels, no more shekels, no more euros, no more pounds, no chavo, no dinero. So they got to do it because son una prostituta, son whores. You know what a whore is? It's not a bad word, a whore. Paco told me it's not a bad word, they're whores. And ladies and gentlemen, la situación está jodida. $6,600 a troy ounce of gold. It's not there. It's not even at 5,000. But guys, let me explain to you. When you see this thing hit 4,000, not 5,000, you're gonna go like this. You're gonna look around to see if anything is flying around. Anything is flying around. ¿Tú entiendes lo que te quiero decir, Sodi? ¿Tú entiendes? You start looking around, you see what's going on. At 4,000, when you see that 5,000, you start, you start making preparations, preparaciones, because something is not right, bro. Something is, let me tell you, and I'm telling you, something is not right. Something is not right. Guys, you're telling me 6,000 in January. I think it's running faster than that, man. Unless that thing, they have, you have a trifecta, 3 numbers, 1, 2, 3, and then you have a super trifecta. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm telling you, the trifecta, which is Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua, the big mouth from Colombia got involved. And they took off his, whatever that thing, they took off his card and you're out. He was corrected, like Mr. D says. He was corrected. And now it became a super trifecta, 4. They want to knock down 4. Ortega, Maduro, y Castro. And the guy from Colombia, Madame Sugar, And that has to happen. And then, ladies and gentlemen, I was saving the last for all of you. Many people out there, the reset is here, papi. The reset is here. Exactly. Very well said, Mr. Donut. And I'm going to say this. Many people, even myself, even Sweet Cake Kilo, we would say always, hey, I think that guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he's buddy with the guy from Russia. The guy from Pennsylvania Avenue and the guy from Russia were buddy. We kept on saying that. Maybe you guys can give me some kind of direction, some kind of direction. But I believe that marriage at this moment is a little bit rocky, or it has fallen apart. The marriage between Pennsylvania Avenue and the guy from Russia, Can anybody give me some kind of help? Do you believe that, or am I wrong, or am I, thinking something else? It's coming, papi, it's coming. So it's falling apart. if you guys don't know this, do you guys, not that you know this, do you understand this? Have you understood it that their marriage, their boyfriend and girlfriend honeymoon is falling apart? Have you? Not true. Okay, not true. There it is. Not true. Somebody said not true. Not true. Not true. Not true. Okay, not true. So we have somebody. That's what I wanted. Somebody say not true. But me and Sweet Kikino is over. There it is. The honeymoon phase is over. Wrong. I'm wrong again. Wrong. Wrong again. He says wrong and not true. Wrong. So since we are wrong and not true, Mick from Florida, we want to see your explanation. Put it up there. Put it up there. Okay, you think it's a misdirection. Okay. Coño, I like that, Thurston Howard III. Me gustó lo que puso Thurston. Mr. D, put something up there. Don't be hiding on us. Don't be hiding on us now. Now we need you now. Gloves are in. Okay, gloves are in. Gloves are in. Let's go. So, Mr. D said he thinks it's okay. It's a conspiracy. It's a misdirection. Mick Florida says it's a misdirection. Okay, we'll keep power. Okay. Listen, what I'm saying is, I think, see, I kept on saying, I think. Allegedly, I believe that the marriage between the honeymoon stage is over. Thurston Howard said that it's a misdirection. We look this way, they come this way. Okay, Trump is playing, wow, Trump is saying, they're testing each other out, okay. Oil's the new gold in Russia, okay. So, but we do have a situation going on between the United States and Russia. Something is up. Ukraine, Russia, and the United States. And then you have the other side, you have Israel and those other gentlemen over there. I forgot their name. You help me out with the name. So something is going on big, ladies and gentlemen. And we need to get all ready. We need to get ready. I told you to put $5,000 cash under your pillow. I told you to get a couple of, who told me that? I'm going to be honest. The one that told me about getting some gold bars, no other than Dr. Evil told me that you guys should get a couple of gold bars and put them under your pillow because things are not right. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, I'm not. But if you guys think that things are, tensions are very high, man. Dr. Evil, tensions are very high, Papi. Tensions are very, very high. And we must, Putin had dirt. Listen to this. Putin has dirt on Donald Trump. Listen, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. So, all this is going to blow up then, somebody. But I'm going to say one thing so I can get out of this subject, because today we're going already in 61 minutes, an hour in this. We're gonna go into something different, but I'm going to say something to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm saying this con el corazón en la mano, with my heart in my hand. You had a president there for 4 years that he was running the show. I don't give a hood about red or blue, but he was there. The blue was there for 4 years. If they do have something on the guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, they have 4 years to throw him under the bus. If he likes hot dogs, if he likes pizza, if he likes all that. If you guys don't understand why I said hot dogs and pizza, that's your problem. Then you're not at par with me. You're not at par. But I'm telling you, if they had something on him, they have 4 years to throw him under the bus. Why so much today that I have this? Papi, you have the ace of spades, not the ace of hearts. You have the ace of spades. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Donut. You have the ace of spades for 4 years. Coño, claro, coño, Thurston, you know what I'm saying. I'm not defending nobody, but if you have something about me and you're in office, ya descojóname. Go ahead. But now they're saying, show me this, show me this. But you had it there for 4 years. You had it for 4 years. You could have shown everything you wanted. But you know what? This is our army. And we're not going to go nowhere here because I don't care about red and I don't care about blue. I don't care about this one. I don't care about that one. I'm telling you all this because gold is going to the moon. Because gold is going to the moon. Because gold is going to the moon, ladies and gentlemen. You know? Yeah, exactly, Pete. Same thing with that guy. You know, it's a sketch. So you know, you know that Putin has something on DT or whatever you guys call him. You know, papi, que se caigan a piñazo ya. Pero I am telling you something. In the United States of America, in the last two, I said it wrong. In the last, he ran from 2016 to 2020. The guy from Pennsylvania, he ran from 2016 to 2020. And the other gentleman, the ice cream guy, he ran from 2020 to 24. And now that the Florida Orange guy is running it now, right? From that time to now, I haven't seen this country being operated the way it's being operated by the ICA. That's all I got to say. Because the last person to run as a president of this country, his name is Dwight Eisenhower. That's all. All right, guys? There it is. That's all I got to tell you about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you a little watch market update so you guys, you know, can go to bed, relax. And the ones that are looking at gold and silver, you know what's happening. You know? You know what's happening. You know, we have a lot of people today in this channel watching this live stream. You know, 39 thumbs up. That's heated stuff. I've never seen 39 thumbs up in this channel in my life, ladies and gentlemen. You know, 39 dedos, papá. 39 dedos, papi. 39 dedos. Es increíble. Es increíble. Es que when you talk about something, you know, it's, you know. Thank you, Pete. Thank you. Thank you. And again, guys, I'm not, listen, I'm not going to be ever, I'm going to be favor of the red or favor of the blue. I'm just talking about knowledge. This is why gold is going all the way up, Papa. This is why gold is going all the way up. You know, it's going all the way up, and you guys gotta be smart. You know, no se queden parados como estúpido. Don't stand like a statue, like I don't know if it was Pete, if it was D. You know, don't stand like a frozen person. You know, usen la cabeza. Que la cabeza no solamente para pelo. Use your head. Head is not only for hair, you know. It's for you to think and do. It's a chess match you guys have now. You know, I gave you the whole thing today. I gave you the whole thing. I gave you the, you know, all the ships, you know, the USS Fort Lauderdale, the USS Iwo Jima, you know, the nuclear submarine. I gave you the whole thing. And I gave you 4 countries right there. 4 countries. 4 countries Latino que son comunistas hasta las tetas. You know what tetas is? Breasts. You know, to up here, breasts. You know, they're all in the same bed, papi. They're all, you know, they're all. You have a red and blue, and nobody else can ever get in. Don't you ever try to get in there. If you try to get into the red and blue, you're going to get, you know. Pete, thank you very much for that super chat. Thank you very, very much. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Gracias, papá. Thank you so much. It makes me feel like, you know, all this, you know, talking that I'm doing is, you know, por gusto. You know, I want it to be that you at least say, coño, there's something that Juan, you know, out of 100%, there's a 20% that he makes sense, you know. I'm happy with a 5%. How's that, you know? Yo soy un lambón. Yo soy un lambón. But I look at everything, man. I look at everything, and I'm telling you, you know, what I'm telling you, when I heard about that gentleman, Christopher Wood, I said, man, you know, this is a guy that's in there. He's sleeping with BlackRock. He's sleeping with Blackstone. He's sleeping with Vanguard, State Street, Rothschild, Rockefeller, JP Morgan. You understand? Scholes, the Knights Templar, the Owl. Papi, I look at everything, papi. Esto es una jodienda, estamos cuidados al revés. No se duerman en las pajas. No se duerman. And ladies and gentlemen, if you learn something, don't keep it to yourself. Pass it to your next door neighbor. Pass it to your colleague at work. Let him know a little insight. You know, don't keep it all for yourself. No sean lambones. You know, share your knowledge with other people. Let them know what's happening out there. Let them know that Marco Rubio wants to knock off 4 countries with 1 stone. They're like that already. Papi, I'm telling you, man, I think Cuba, if they go after Cuba, 20 minutes. Finito. Colombia, a patar por las nalgas. 20 minutes. Somebody said Venezuela, 48 hours. Okay, I agree, but I think even faster than that. Even faster. Nicaragua, even faster than that. You know? So if these people decide, and I'm going to say something else to you guys, ladies and gentlemen. This is one thing that I have always never understood of anybody governing this country. Every time they're going to attack, they make a special bulletin to say or address the nation. We're going to attack such country. We're going to do this. And I believe that none of us, we're going to hear it when it happens in the radio, in the news, when you're watching a soap opera. You know, it's just going to go off and say right now, the United States of America has just attacked, you know, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, Colombia, you know, Russia, Ukraine, over there, Israel, you know, and you also have, if you guys don't know this, you know, the Chinese people, and I'm saying this with the highest respect, the Chinese people have some interest in Venezuela. I don't know if you guys know this, right? China has some interest in Venezuela. And the Chinese people already, you know, they're murmurando, hey, you know, si lo van a atacar y le van a caer la pescosa a Venezuela, you know, if you're going to attack and you're going to smack these people in Venezuela and the Maduro gang, I want you to know that I have 4 bottles of Corona beer over there. I have 4 bottles of Corona beer there, you know? So the Chinese people already saying it already, you know? So respect my 4 bottles of Corona beer, they're over there, you know? So, tú sabes, esto es una jodienda. Esto es una jodienda. Eso está bueno que en Gaza va a haber casino, you know? But it's, para que llegue el casino, for it to get to the casino, it's a little bit more, too many hiccups going on right now, you know? And right now, I'm telling you, this guy right now, he's in a position that the biggest heads must hang around with him so he don't make a fatal mistake. And I say that to you guys because it's not war is not the thing, you know. War is not the thing. It's not the thing. Many innocent people will die. Many things is wrong. But when you're talking about this, esa gente no le importa nada, bro. They don't care about nothing. They don't care. It's, you know about England. You know, I have touched all that. You know, Charlie from England. You know, Charlie. You know, Camila. You know, all that I touch. These people are getting if it doesn't happen, which they've been saying it for the last 12 years, the reset, or maybe the last 16 years, the reset, you know, I think some way, somehow, you're seeing it. You know, I have a couple of credit cards of mine that they're loaded to the max. Maybe the reset, they'll erase that for me, you know? I'm being honest. You think I was joking when I said that? You think I was joking? I wasn't joking. People, you know, want to start clean again. Thirsty. But let me tell you something. If you saw that dinner over there, that dinner, you saw the guy from Pennsylvania with that, monkey suit on, the tuxedo monkey suit, and you saw the way, I don't know, the protocol, when he was walking the stairs, he tapped in the back, Charlie, saying crazy. You don't care, The guy from Pennsylvania Avenue, he smacked him in the back, and then Charlie, like, he was a little bit rattled, like, what happened here, But guys, this is what it is, This whole thing, this whole story that I told you, this whole story that Kino wrote down for me, it was to tell you about gold. It's not a political thing that I'm here trying to debate with you guys. I don't care what you think. I'm just saying that the world's upside down. There's no money out there. Los lambones, eso tan quitado todo el dinero. All those flim-flammers, hoodwinks, hucksters, flim-flammers, these spoof balls have taken all your 401k, your children's tuition money, and they're telling you that the watch industry is up and running. And I'm telling you that the guy, Deputy Boxing Black Eyes, and the Warriors Fat Pastor are fighting now to see who pays them more money to go say that Hubler is good now. But you guys keep on thinking that the watch market is up and running. The only thing that's running right now is precious metal materials. That's it. And you better have $5,000 under your pillow and a couple of bars or a couple of ounces under your pillow as well too. That's it. That's all you need to know. La situación está caótica y está jodida. Está muy mala. This is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. 41 thumbs up. This has broken the record. It has smashed it, It has smashed it. It has smashed it. 41 Kino. 41 Kino. I want you to know, I need to tell Kino this. All this, Kino wrote it down for me this is a school project that we did, a school project. Kino wants to know what grade did he get. He doesn't care if he gets a D. We don't care. We want to know what grade of all this information that we have given you today, where we at. If we are at C minus or C plus, allegedly, all this, allegedly to other people out there, allegedly. An A, somebody gave me an A. Kino, este señor es inteligente, Jonathan de Silva, te dio una A. Una A. We don't need nothing else no more. A minus, una A con el palito, así, tú sabes. Con el palito. Respeto. And it's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're not here. Thank you very much, Pete, allegedly. Thank you very much. We're not here to tell you, qué partido, what team you want to be in. We're not in that. Es la misma mierda con diferente pente. It's the same shit with different smell. It's what it is. But we're here to tell you, B+, beautiful, Randy. Gracias, Randy. Hey, coño, AAA. Diablo, AAA como la batería. AAA. So we feel good, ladies and gentlemen. And this was all done so you can see where gold is going. It's going to the stars. Silver is, he's not no more a sleeper. Silver is no more a sleeper. Thank you very much, Dr. E. Silver is no longer a sleeper, ladies and gentlemen. So be smart. I think that tomorrow, all of you should have a little, when your grandfather had this, gracias, Tersenhauer, gracias, papá, gracias, muchas bendiciones a todos ustedes, ¿verdad? Muchas bendiciones. Que Dios me los empatrone a todos ustedes. I said in Spanish, may God, give all of you beautiful love, health, and happiness, and all that good stuff. I think, remember when your grandfather had the little portable radio, he would put it in his pocket, those little little radios, have one of those, the batteries. Not the one you plug in electricity, the one with batteries, hang around with it because you might hear suddenly, Papi, Maduro, they picked him up in a helicopter and they took him like the guy from, Scarface. They flew him in the helicopter. Remember Tony was sitting down with Frank over there, and they let a trans radio, and they let him go. That's what might happen, guys. You know, one of those radios. You know, put it in your pocket. You know, and that kind of stuff. Because, ladies and gentlemen, before I sign off, like Walter Cronkite will say, I must say this to you guys. I think that this channel is being monitored in a very nice way. They're monitoring me, and if something happens, you know, my trans sister radio might go off the air, you know. So, you know, I'm telling you all this para que se preparen, you know, so you guys can get prepared, because this is not a game. What's coming our way is not a game. It's not a tsunami. It's more than a tsunami. Es grande, papi, es grande. People, big people are that I have heard talking. They're talking in a subliminal way. You know, they're not going to tell you what's happening, but they're going to tell you, you figure it out. Put the dots together, and this is what's happening. Y te digo una cosa. When you hear that guy, I don't know how that guy, Christopher Wood, he was, you know, shown out there what he thinks, what he believes, what's happening, you know, and man, $6,600, probably run to the hills. I said it wrong. $5,000, run to the hills. This is nothing that you have ever seen in your life. Nothing. You know, somebody was telling me the other day that, you know, I don't know what it was, but they told me something about shopping, groceries, that it'll cost you like $30. And I don't know what it was. Maybe somebody can remember. If you were here, you wrote down, man, that'll cost you $30 today. Doubling my goal. Wow, listen to this, $60 away from doubling my goal. If you read what Mr. Se fue. ¿Quién fue? Se fue, Dr. Evil? Wow, they're all gone. Well, I can't see his message. I think I got a thunder lightning. No, it was DJ. I'm sorry, it was DJ. DJ, he put there, I'm $60 away from doubling gold investment. You know, papi, doubling my money, man. Eso es grande, muchacho. Eso es grande. No, I mean, listen, man. The truth of the matter is, I saw too many people that I knew that got hurt in the watch business. I saw a lot of people that got hurt, you know, and I'm going to tell you this quickly. I have a lot of people that love the watches, and they love watches dearly. The same way I love watches, and the same way you love watches. And these people had some pocket change. You know, they had some pocket change, and they spent a lot of money on watches. And all those watches that they were promised that they were going to go all the way to the sky, and they were going to rocket away, they didn't. They flatlined. And these people lost a lot of money, you know, and they were youngsters, they were middle-aged men, they were older men. And I'm going to be honest, I was always very timid, you know, tímido, you know. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And everything that I got in my hands that I was able to make a couple of dollars, I'm going to be honest, I let it go. I let it go. One of the last things that I had, ladies and gentlemen, was a Rolex Daytona Oyster Flex chocolate dial. And I remember when I brought it in, I paid for the watch $31,500. I paid for the watch. And I picked it up in the Caribbean. And when I got back home, they offered me for the watch right off the bat, I give you $45,000 for the watch. And I said no. I said no. I wanted the watch. I wanted to use it, you know. And I'm always buying watches, so I keep on, you know, moving watches around, selling this to buy this one, you know, to use that cash flow for this watch. I'm talking to you for real, like I'm talking to one of my friends. So that was the last watch that I did that I got rid of, and they say it was going to go up to the sky and, you know, hit the stars. And to be honest, you know, be careful with those words of people telling you the watches are going to go all the way up to the sky. You know, if it's not a Patek Philippe from the 50s, 60s, you know, eso mierda, you know. So be careful. And I saw a lot of people getting hurt. I saw too many people get hurt, and I decided, me and Sweet Kikino decided to do this. It all started as fun. It all started as fun, and then I saw a lot of these Muppet Boiler Room dealers got very, very nasty and very bitter and salty, and I really don't. I don't need their pocket change to eat a Chef Boyardee spaghetti. I don't need I don't need that. And so I decided to do this. And I have I still, if you guys want to know, yeah, I still have a bunch of watches. I still have a bunch of watches, but did the game change for me? Yeah, it did change because it wasn't good. It wasn't good for a lot of people, man. Did you guys lose money on watches? Any of you out there? Well, you guys are cool. You guys all right? Mm-hmm. Even there you go. Okay, so you guys did good. You guys did all right, but there's a lot of people that got hurt. That got really banged up. So far, good for you. Just try, man. Just keep on dealing with your authorized dealers and try to buy from them, and hear the stories that which they're not stories. They're pretty much real stories. I just make them funny. I dress them up for you like a Hello Kitty, to make you smile. But they're for real. Things are not good. Not so. Some not much. Okay, some not. Good for you, Christopher. I'm very happy to hear that. I'm very, very happy to hear that. One day, when it's all said and done, then I'll take off my mask and then I'll tell you some other things. But until then, we'll keep on doing these things till they're fun. Um, because in reality, there is somebody that tells me everything, that it's in the business. All right? That good? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you so much for being here with me. Without you guys, the show cannot continue on because you need a couple of lambones, a couple of window lickers to be here for the show. Will keep on going. So, okay, wow, good for you. Good for you. Congratulations on that, Pam. So, guys, I want to thank you again one more time. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. Have a wonderful night. And like me and Sweet Kid Kino will say always, take care and brush your hair. Good night, guys. Thank you so much again for all the support. Thank you. Good